Hello and welcome back for another video. In this one, I'll be breaking down all 30 NBA teams into 6 tiers. I'll start with the bottom tier teams and finish with the top tier teams, ranging from tanking teams all the way to title contenders. Feel free to comment down below if you agree or disagree with my team rankings. And without further ado, let's get started. Let's start off with the tanking teams tier, and in this tier we have the Detroit Pistons, Charlotte Hornets, Houston Rockets, and San Antonio Spurs. These 4 teams have one thing on their mind. Can you guess what it is? If you guessed drafting Victor Wembanyama this summer in June, then you are correct. All 4 of these teams are in the top 10 youngest teams in the NBA, so it makes sense they aren't winning all that much. But their futures aren't entirely hopeless either, as each team has young talent worth developing and potentially building around. For example, the Pistons have their young guards Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey to build around. The Hornets have LaMelo Ball. Rockets have Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, and Jabari Smith. And the Spurs have Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell. Detroit, Charlotte, Houston, and San Antonio just have to be patient, as well as crossing their fingers they get the number 1 pick in this year's draft this summer. The next tier is the rebuilding tier, and here we have the Orlando Magic, Indiana Pacers, Utah Jazz, and Oklahoma City Thunder. These teams all have talent and are a tough opponent to beat any night of the week, but they aren't seen as contenders just yet, as they're all still relatively young. All 4 of these teams land in the top 14 of the youngest teams in the NBA, so again, it's no surprise they aren't seen as contenders at this very moment. But give each of these 4 teams a year or 2 to grow, and I could see them all in a playoff or play-in position. If I had to pick one, I would say the Oklahoma City Thunder have the brightest future out of the bunch in my opinion. Next up is the no man's land tier, where NBA teams don't want to end up, as their futures are up in the air with no clear direction. And here we have the Washington Wizards, Toronto Raptors, LA Lakers, Portland Trailblazers, Minnesota Timberwolves, and Chicago Bulls. Now, none of these teams' seasons are going the way they wanted, as no team in this group is a top 6 seed in either conference. The Minnesota Timberwolves are currently performing the best out of the group with a 24-24 record. The Wolves may be doing the best here, but their future isn't that bright after management traded 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. And after all that, they barely use Rudy, while paying him a max $38 million this year. In addition, it seemed their 21-year-old star Anthony Edwards could be getting disgruntled and may ask for a trade in the next year or 2. Now, depending on trades they make at the trade deadline, I think the LA Lakers and Toronto Raptors have the most hope out of the group. If the Lakers can have AD healthy for the rest of the season once he returns and can make a smart trade, then I could see them move into the next tier above. For the Raptors, I believe they have plenty of wanted talent on their roster, so if they decided to make some trades, I think they could get win-now pieces if they wanted to stay relevant this season, and potentially move up a tier as well. The next tier is the contender tier, where the bulk of NBA teams are located, and here we have the LA Clippers, Dallas Mavericks, Miami Heat, Sacramento Kings, Phoenix Suns, New York Knicks, and Atlanta Hawks. Now these teams could be one move away from becoming a serious contender, or one injury away from falling into the no man's land tier below. The LA Clippers started the season healthy and looked like potential title contenders, but sadly that was only on paper, as their 2 stars Kawhi Leonard and Paul George can't seem to stay healthy, and the Clippers have looked beatable all season long. As of right now, they have fallen into the contender tier, but if they could possibly build momentum, practice winning habits, and stay healthy, they can move back up. Unfortunately, they will have to show us, as many fans have lost a bit of faith in the Clippers by now. The Dallas Mavericks have the best player out of all these teams in Luka Doncic, but they might have the worst roster outside of him here. The Mavs desperately need to make a trade at the trade deadline to hopefully move them up to the series contenders tier and keep Luka happy as well. The rest of the teams here have solid rosters and will most likely be in the playoffs, but they don't instill the same fear in you as some teams above do. Post-trade deadline on February 10th, maybe that will change if any of these teams make an impactful trade, but for now, let's move on. The next tier is the series contenders tier, and here we have the Cleveland Cavaliers, Brooklyn Nets, Philadelphia 76ers, New Orleans Pelicans, and Memphis Grizzlies. Now, all of these teams might not be championship title favorites, but they all have a potential avenue to the finals and potentially winning a ring. For these teams to win the finals, most likely an injury would have to occur to an opposing team that was a threat, or make a trade at the trade deadline to improve their roster and fill in any needed holes before the playoffs start. If I had to pick two teams that have the best chances of winning the title this year from the series contenders tier, I would pick the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have the best rated defense in the entire NBA, while the Cavs land in second. Not to mention, both teams have plenty of firepower on the offensive end, with Ja Morant leading the way for the Grizzlies and Donovan Mitchell for the Cavs. As of right now, I would say both teams' floors are making it to the second round of the playoffs, and their ceilings would be making it to the NBA Finals. The next and final tier is the title contenders tier, and here we only have 4 teams, which are the Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks, Denver Nuggets, and the reigning champs Golden State Warriors. Any NBA fan that has been following the league this season would probably say the Warriors have the worst chances out of the group for winning the title this year, as they sit in the 8th seed with a 23-23 record. The funny thing is, the Warriors were in a similar situation last year, with their team not being fully healthy for most of the season and figuring it out in the playoffs as they went on to win the NBA championship against the Boston Celtics. So you have no choice but to respect them. The last 2 finals, the Milwaukee Bucks and Boston Celtics, have come out of the Eastern Conference, so they're no stranger to the title contenders tier, as they both plan to win the NBA championship this year, and will be disappointed if they fail to do so. The newest member to the titles contenders tier are the Denver Nuggets. Last year, the Nuggets were without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., but that didn't stop Nikola Jokic from carrying the Nuggets to the 6th seed while earning his second consecutive MVP trophy, averaging a monstrous 27 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists. Fast forward to this season, and Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are fully healthy, and the Nuggets have been cruising all season with a 33-13 record, sitting in the 1 seed in the West. This year looks to be Denver's best chance at winning a title in recent memory. Now, if I had to pick one team to win the NBA championship this season, I would have to select the Boston Celtics. The Celtics have had the best record in the NBA all season long. Not to mention their MVP candidate leader, Jason Tatum, potential all-defensive team players in Marcus Smart and Robert Williams III, co-star Jaylen Brown averaging 27 points, and all the shooting a team would need. This Celtics team is stacked from top to bottom and have gained that necessary experience and hunger from losing in the finals last season to the Warriors. Well, those are my 6 tiers for all 30 NBA teams. Feel free to comment down below if you agree or disagree and what topic you would want me to cover next. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great day.
Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.